Cincinnati's ready for the Big 12. It was time for them.
I am fired up.
It's a blessing to be able to be in this league with y'all, putting on for UC.
Cincinnati, a basketball school for...
And there he goes. Touchdown, Bearcats!
Brookwamba again, another slam inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GoBeercats podcast, part of the Catskeller Social Club. He's Darin. I'm Brandon. And we are less than 24 hours removed from the Bearcats taking a crippling loss to the hands of the Dayton Flyers at US Bank Arena. A lot to talk about with that game, with the program in general. Darin, how are we feeling after last night's performance?
Not fun getting punched in the mouth, that's for sure.
It's a good way to put it. Punched in the mouth is exactly what happened to us. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into a little bit of women's basketball talk as well. We got a 1,000-point scorer on the roster now, and we'll talk about some recent portal news in terms of the football program and some one or two guys maybe taking a little trip from Columbus down the highway here to Cincinnati. So a lot to get into. Before that, though, Darin, we don't want to get in too deep before talking about time for a beer, right? Brought to you by the Delhi Liquor Store. They have you covered not only with a great beer selection, with a new beer drop coming almost every day, but everything you need from a good tailgate, nice holiday party, beer, wine, liquor. They got you covered. I just went there a little bit ago, maybe about an hour before stopping it or turning this thing on. Went with Cartridge Brewing up in Mainville. Shout out to Mainville. My in-laws live there. This is Frosted Tips. I can honestly say that being a child of the 90s, I never had Frosted Tips, although I can't say that is true for some of my friends growing up. This is a white IPA. One, I love white IPAs. And it has spruce tips. I usually love a good IPA with spruce tips. So two things here. You don't always see them together. 7.5%. Two things that I really like in one beer. So I'm sipping on this today, Darin. What are you sipping on?
Just keeping it classic with the Cincy Light,
Very nice. That is a really good beer. Holy cow. I wore my Cartridge hat here as well. They don't sponsor the podcast, but Cartridge, if you're listening, you could. So reach on out. That is really good. It's got the white IPA, I believe, is usually brewed with like a Belgian yeast. So it's got those notes to it. And then the spruce tips make it a little more piney, a little dry finish there. I like that a lot. That's right up my alley. First time I've had that beer, I probably go 4 out of 5 on that beer on Untapped when I check that in after we get done recording here. The game last night was not as good as this beer. Like you said, we got punched in the mouth by Dayton. We got punked. We got rigmarolled. We got everything in a bad 82-68 loss to the Flyers at US Bank Arena. Just a couple of initial takeaways here, just things that I saw just watching the game. Too much standing around on offense, especially in the second half. It seemed like it got worse. I don't know if there's no way we can be tired. We have a deep rotation, but it's just like, let's stand around. Day and Jizzle make a play, drive to the hoop or something. But other than that, it was stand around watching, which we've unfortunately seen in years past under Wes Miller here. It's when things go stagnant, they go quick and hard, like we're in quick drying cement. That was kind of brutal to watch when we desperately needed somebody to go get us a bucket.
Yeah, honestly, this brings up the question. It brings up two questions for me. How do you want to run your offense, and who do you want to run it through when the three isn't working? Number two, who's going to be that guy? Not even from a run the offensive standpoint, but just your motor, your pure energy guy. Your guy's going to pick people up when things aren't going Correct. Or even in this case, the guy, because at one point we did have the lead early on, the guy who's just going to step on the throat early and keep driving,
Yeah.
and bury him.
Yeah, it was that was really brutal to watch. And like beyond that, I threw up some stuff in the Discord. Dayton still is not a good rebounding team at all. You got 3 7-footers in the rotation. You got Dan Skillings, who is usually great on the boards. It ends up 41-34 in favor of the Bearcats. So a seven rebound advantage there. At halftime, it was closer than that. It was 21-19. That's and then really like that was a problem more so in the first half, I think. But Dayton just made shots as well. It's not easy to get rebounds when the ball goes through the hole.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just starting your next offensive series instead. They just were not missing. And it wasn't even just the shots falling. I mean, their free throws too. 93%, or 98% actually. I think they only missed 2 all night.
Yeah, it was 93, 28 out of 30, which that's another thing. I thought the reffing, the officiating this game was not good. It was terrible. They doubled. Almost. I mean, they shot 30. We shot 16. We only made 8 of those 16, which is even makes the gap even more. They got 20 more points off of free throws than we did. 20. That's a giant gap.
I mean, yeah, we make our free throws. Not saying obviously we win that game, but we're back in spitting distance of the final score at least. And you wonder if that changes how that goes down a stretch. And to your point about us, standing around offense, when we were trying to make that final push, just under 5 minutes, I think we let 2 minutes tick off the clock where they were just squeezing the life out of us on defense, and we could not do anything with any of those chances we had. I think the ball came back to our hands 4 times on that series before it ultimately turned over. Not great. It was just really a stamp on what had been happening early on in the game, and gross to watch, disheartening. Just like I said, punched in the mouth. Maybe more than that. Maybe we just got straight up beat in the fight. And I saw people talking about trying to change things to switch to the zone. Obviously when they did, that wasn't just that simple. I mean,
Dayton threw a lot of looks
at
UC, whether it was full court pressure. They were in like a run and jump, like 3-2 zone almost. They threw a 1-3-1 at them. Like it was, you didn't know what you were going to get every time you brought the ball up the floor.
Slow to the adjustments too, really.
Oh yeah, 100%. Absolutely right.
Look, going into this game, I knew it was going to be a tough fight regardless. Dayton was not going to not play us seriously regardless. You're local, you're within the, not within the 275 loop, but you're within the tri-state at that point. You're both, D1 programs. You're gonna, you have some familiarity. You're gonna take each other seriously. At least one team did. They just didn't. It's not even that I want to say that they didn't seem ready. It just seemed once Dayton responded, we didn't know how to turn it back on from there. We started off hot, and then once Dayton kind of settled into the game, it was all Flyers at that point. Obviously, we're looking at 2 losses only so far, but big competitive games. You wonder if this team is going to find, I won't say it's spark at some point, but find that ability to take the shot and then answer in some way, some fashion, not when it's too late, not when they're trying to, their things are, not when shots are getting made out of desperation, but within the game itself and keeping themselves in it and then surpassing.
Yeah, you're right, and I just had another thought that I'm trying to make a note of, so we circle back to it. I don't want to lose that because that's I did not have that written down. But let's
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
still in this game here, still talking about this game. If we look at, we've talked about them standing around, been kind of a quicksand type of thing that we've fallen into under Wes Miller the past 3 years. To even to prove that point, we had 11 assists all night. 11 assists on 27 makes. That's not great. Now, 27 makes, shooting the ball 73 times for 37%. That'll take those assists way down because you got to make the ball. You got to make it to get an assist. So whether it's poor shooting or lack of ball movement because people are standing around, those two can kind of are hand in hand, go together. That's brutal. And to play into that even further, something that you and I were talking about before we hit record here is our 3-point shots, 6 for 25, 24%. Absolutely brutal. 25 seems like a lot of 3-pointers. We've seen that as part of the Wes Miller offense. Last year it was, or the last two previous years was a lot of threes that seemed to be ill-advised. Chuck them up way early in the shot clock. If you got an offensive rebound, kick it out, throw it up, no matter what. We spoke about that. People have complained about that. It's brutal on television. It seems like we're getting better looks than last year. Am I being biased because there was a thought process or people felt a certain type of way about Davenport throwing them up or Landers throwing them up? Are the guys that are different now doing the same thing? We're just partial to them because it's someone else. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that, but it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something we'd have to go back and see if we could quantify. Because I haven't thought about that. And also, we've won those first few games too, so it may appear that it's working, or at least was working. And we I mean, we were what, a 38% 3-point shooter going into the skid here. Between running into the Catholic buzzsaw that has been Dayton and Xavier. So definitely felt better. But I mean, coming up against, I won't say real teams. We've had a few tests, but not against teams that are going to just, not disappear.
Yeah.
You're not going to out-talent them necessarily. They're going to fight you. It's going to be a rock fight regardless if you stay in those games. I don't know. But a lot of it feels mental in a way, because the talent's there. You got the bodies there. You have the ability to switch offenses when need be, or how you attack the basket. And obviously, it's first few games of the season, first 10 games of the season, a lot of ball left to play still. So there's always room to figure it out. But you don't like the way the offense is looking coming up against two big games.
And it's we've harped on the offense here because that was you got to score points to win the game. But at the same time, our defense was atrocious last night as well. Miller brought that up in his press conference. We're complaining that the fouls were lopsided, but he said every time they put the ball on the floor, we fouled them. We were laying on them, initiating that contact. So he didn't really complain about the refs. He complained more about the defense, the defensive effort, and not being able to stop the ball at all. Which we've seen. It wasn't a layup line like we've seen before, but Dayton, they hit shots all over the floor. I don't know what they ended as a shooting percentage wise, but I know it was bet it was
46 from the
close to 50.
field goal, and then 38 from the 3-pointer.
Yeah, so almost 46 from that's almost 50%. That's you're going to win a lot of games doing that. Something defensively there you have to adjust that somehow. Throw something at them that they're not prepared for, or just the level of intensity that you're playing has got to come up somehow. You can't let a team shoot 50% almost and really run you off the floor in the second half. With 12 minutes left, I didn't think we stood a chance. Like,
No.
I think I said that in the Discord. I was like, I've seen nothing from us that looked like we should be in this game coming down to the last minutes. We kind of made a little run there, maybe with about 5 minutes to go or something, but it was never that close.
No.
We were just outcoached, outperformed, out executed pretty much from start to finish.
Well, yeah, I mean, down that stretch, like, so yeah, you start getting that going. You start pulling in within 10, but that still requires your team to play perfect ball down that stretch, which they had shown no inkling of even getting remotely close to that. And I mean, when I say they would have to play perfect ball, they would have to play perfect ball down the stretch. You would need Dayton to go cold. You would need to block every single shot, force every bad shot and pass you could get at that point. But also, let's not forget, Dayton wasn't missing their free throws either. So even if you were sending them to the line, you're just kind of slowly going into the night at that point instead.
You're without the clock running is
So
absolutely.
I mean, as far as like, is it possible? Yeah, 12 minutes, there's plenty of time left, but they were showing no representation, no inkling that they could get it done, or they could flip that switch at that point. It just looked, obviously you can't just be the vibes, the feeling of the game, but like suspicion confirmed at that point. They just couldn't get it done. And what was it down the stretch? I forgot what minute it was, but two guys chasing the swing. They thought he was going to pass it back out band, and they just both go, and there he goes past them. And you're just like,
that was brutal. That looked.
You sent that guy to the NBA with that. Like, you made him look like a superstar All-American for no reason. And I can't remember the last time I seen someone bite that hard on something like that. At this level.
I know it was Aziz and either Day or Jizzle, one of those two. And you're right. They both bit looking this way. He went baseline, and that was all she wrote.
It wasn't even that hard of a. Yeah, like it wasn't even that hard of a fake either.
No, it wasn't. No,
he bumped his shoulder back, and then they went with it, and he kept going. Yeah, like it's actually ironically playing now on the preview for me in the notes page. But like, yeah, he literally just he throws the brakes and then keeps going, and they went for it, and it was just a exclamation point on like it's demoralizing too. Like you're supposed to have a short memory as an athlete, but like basketball is already one of those sports where you gotta go.
Yes.
And when something like that happens, it's just, it's not going to work out in your favor mentally. I mean, like I said, you wonder who's going to be the guy, who's going to be the dude to snap these guys awake in moments like that when they take a shot like that, in game and keep them in that. Like.
How like this year, like this team does not have an alpha. I don't know if I've talked about that with people. I don't know if we've talked about that on here yet, but there is no Jaron Cumberland. There is no SK. There is not that guy. Like even like Landers Nolly was that last year really for us. Like who? Like
it was going to be Vic early on, like very early on for a bit. That was before Z showed up. And I was not saying that they're competing for leadership, minutes on that. Yeah. But I think once our team started getting a little more complete, he kind of faded back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like he looks like he's regressed.
Yeah. I don't know if it's him. We were excited for him to be moved out of the post and see what he could do as a stretch 4. That's so far has not worked out for him. Not really at all. He's 0 for 5 from 3 last night. He had, his footwork in the paint is so good. Like that's where he like really thrives. He has great post footwork. So moving him out, and he doesn't look comfortable out there. I don't know if it's him not being used to it, not getting the minutes out there. His skill set does not like complement that at all.
No.
I don't know. Like what it's like I'd compare him to Anthony Davis. Like Anthony Davis is great in the post, but he doesn't want to play in the post.
Yeah.
But he's also Anthony Davis and can stretch out there to the wing when the Lakers need him to. There's not enough Anthony Davis and Vic Lockin for him to be able to do that.
No. And maybe that's a conversation that West needs to have with him. It's also on the coach as well to change up his strategy when it comes
But
to that
if
too.
you can't do that, how do you manage Aziz and now Millie?
Yeah.
3 deep at the 5. Like if Vic can't be that stretch 4, like how do you manage that rotation?
You gotta find the right partnership at that point.
Yeah.
You gotta find his running buddy on that. Because at this point, Aziz isn't coming out. Like his value is too great on the rebounds at this point. Even if he's not getting buckets
with another double, 10 points, 12 rebounds. I think he's got to figure some stuff out when they pull him out to the wing because he is terrible defensively.
Yeah.
On the closeouts and he's a 100% liability. He is not a wing defender in any measure of any category. No. But you're right. 12 rebounds. There's not another person close to him in the Dayton game. Closest person is Vic with 7. And 10 points. A lot of those couple easy dunks to start the game off. And he kind of got hurt. Hopefully that's not something that lingers or something he has to deal with moving forward. But yeah, Vic's got to figure out that stretch 4. I don't know. I don't know where he fits in now with 2 7-footers right there.
The guy probably stop protecting Fields a little bit at that point. And that's not to say that West can't have those conversations. Again, game 10 of the season. The season isn't super young, but it's still early enough where like you can go to the drawing board and start figuring some things out in different packages. Because it seems like he has his guys, and then it's like, okay, you are the most talented people we have for it. But like, if you have the raw talent, that may not complement your actual strategy that's working at that point. Like Vic was early on in the season carrying the team in that regard. His 3-point shooting's gotten better, and looks like he's been better for shot selection, and obviously he's rebounding really well too. He's doing it all, and I think with bringing people who can help load manage in some of those skill sets, I think he's having a hard time, kind of reallocating where he needs to step up, or reallocating the skill tree, if you will, on that. And that's no, insult to Vic here. I'm not saying bench the guy because he's still, is an asset to this team. Yeah. It's just I think you have to figure out where he is better paired at this point.
With a pairing, we saw Day and Jizzle on the floor a lot together, especially in the second half. Wes commented in the press conference about the press. He wanted another ball handler in there with the press, to sort of give him another option, setting up the offense and everything. I really like that look. Yeah. The 2 fastest guys, the 2 guys that are looking to maybe dunk on anybody and everybody, that can slash, hit the gaps, get to the bucket, or dish off at the last second, whatever it may be. Those are the 2 guys that are going to do it. And I really like that lineup together. I'd like to see that more. I commented this morning, one of my favorite non-Bearcat teams of all time is like the early 2000, like 2003, 4, 5, somewhere in that era, But the Illinois team with Darren Williams and D Brown, like they were just like two of the fastest guys, it seemed like, in America playing basketball together on the same team. And I think there's some shades of that with Day and Jizzle on the floor together, which I love because that was a really exciting team to watch. With what we got, like 3 more, or as John Rothstein put it last night, we got 3 more bye games before we start Big 12 play. And I would like to see some more cohesion or some more, some more of that lineup so they could gel a little bit more, because I think that's something that we could use to our advantage going forward.
Yeah, it feels like one of those things where, like, again, we figured it out too late. Like, because it even seemed like down the stretch, the announcers love that formation. It was giving Dayton, a little bit. Obviously, Dayton was pretty much still in cruise control at that point, but it looked like it was giving Dayton a little bit of trouble too at that point. Seeing what the various takes around Twitter and social media, Discords, forums, you wonder, and this could just be a coachable moment for West too, that like maybe he'll experiment with that a little bit sooner in the game, instead of kind of throwing things at at the wall and just forcing it over and over and over again, and not rotating guys out of necessity or minute necessity and actually strategy necessity at that point.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's something we've seen a lot of from Wes the past, since he's been here, and that's something I'd like to see him change up. Yeah, you're 100% correct.
Yeah, because he's rotating because we have the depth, not necessarily as an answer, to what he's seeing on the floor. At least these 2 games where it required a little bit more chess.
Oh yeah. I love that. It was more chess because you didn't know the next guy's move, and when you thought he was going to do one thing, it brought out something completely different. You're completely right.
We have to be able to answer a little bit quicker. Obviously, like I said, you can't sit there and scream zone like that. But like, I think West needs to be a little bit better in real time at understanding who he needs to throw out there at once. I mean, again, like this team is still growing together. We're still adding pieces as legal troubles have ceased. So there's a little bit of that we're running into. But I think if he can find himself, who the people, whose people proper running partners are, a few different default sets, I think he'll be better down the back half of the season at being able to answer as quickly. Obviously, people had some hot takes. Not fun to lose to local teams. I saw this take a lot. It's like, oh, we're 1-2 against local teams this year. We lose to an A10. We lose to a Big East. I don't think that matters as much in a game of college basketball, just because.
As far as conferences, or as far as being.
Oh yeah, conferences, P5, G5, mid-major, whatever phrase you want to throw in it. Because at the end of the day, we lost those teams. But the college basketball has always been a little bit different, where the talent pool has always been a little bit more evenly spread out. It is truly, truly, truly a team sport. Yes, individual guys can just go off. But when people are playing their roles, sometimes it just doesn't matter how hot you are. So, losing, it's like, oh, we lost to an A10. Oh, we lost to a Big East team. Like, let's not belittle these guys, because they were going to come ready to play us regardless. And yes, you can say we have more talent, but if you can't coach and you can't win the games as a school, then it really doesn't matter. The argument doesn't really hold any water anyway. It's just, we weren't the better team regardless.
I agree with you. I don't, conferences matter. I mean, I'm not mad that we lost to an A10 school.
Yeah.
I'm not mad that last Saturday we lost to a Big East school. The Big East is I'll, not to give Xavier any credit, but the Big East is good. Like,
I'm still mad they took the name.
yeah. I mean, Villanova has been a blue blood this, in the last 10, 12 years, 15 years. I know their coach retired, but like the Big East is good. Like don't ask me to say that again. But the Big East, they're solid. I'm not mad that we lost to an A10 school. I'm not mad that we lost to a Big East school. I'm mad that we lost the Crosstown shootout.
Yep.
Right. Again.
Yeah.
I'm mad that West Miller's 0-3. I'm mad that we've lost that game 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
I'm mad that we haven't won at Cintas since 2001. I'm mad that I thought the TBT team who swept the games at Cintas helped cure us or expel the curse of that because they played so well there.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know the tweets I had ready for that because to give those guys their flowers about wiping away the curse. I'm mad at that. I'm not mad that they're a Big East school.
Yeah.
And the question that I was going to ask was like, does the hot takes are coming out? The Discord was in a dark place last night. But that I don't think it's because Dayton's an A10 school.
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad that it's another local team.
Yep.
Who has they have a rabid fan base. Dayton fans. They show the announcer said it was 50-50. I doubt that. We'd have to ask someone that was there.
They had the lower bowl for sure, at least.
It definitely sounded more like 70-30.
Yeah.
And that's how they are. They love the Flyers basketball there. That's like one major thing that I know about their program. I'm mad that we just lost to another local team that it's, oh, hey, we're playing Cincinnati. Let's go kick their ass.
Yep.
And let's show them that just because they're the
brand.
they're in the Big E or they're in the Big 12, they have the name, the whatever, like we put a target on Cincinnati's back and then they went out and beat us. That's what I'm more mad about. And then it's not like they beat us on a buzzer beater half court heave, like, oh, like, how lucky are you? No, they went out and they beat the shit out of us. Like they like it wasn't close. Like in any facet of the game, like we just got out coached, we got outplayed, out executed, ran out of the gym. That's what happened, and that's more of what I'm mad about. And I think if this is a like looking at the A10 schools, like there's a couple of them that are really good right now. George Washington, St. Joseph, Dayton has won 5 in a row. St. Joe's, for example, has won 6.
Yeah.
Like if we lost to them last night, I wouldn't be as mad.
Yeah.
I'd be mad because I'm like, we have the talent. We should have won this. But if you swap the guys out, I'm a little less mad.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be. And it's another thing that Miller brought up in his press conference. Like he was asked, will this series go on? And he's like, if it doesn't, it's not because I don't want it to. It's just because scheduling in the Big 12 is changing next year with the teams coming in, and you have the MTEs, and there's a lot of factors that go into it. But if they could make it happen, it would. That's great, but like we gotta win these games.
No, yeah, we have. That's exactly that. Like, that's where your talent and brand recognition comes in. Is if you have the talent to be better than these schools, but then when you're not, utilizing it the way it should be. It's and that's not the A10's a basketball conference too, like through and through.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's. Those they're. I won't say there's like super brand names. Everybody knows who Loyola is, Richmond, VCU.
Yeah. VCU is
St. Joseph's, not so much St. Joseph. I'm thinking St. John's, but Dayton to a degree. Davidson, like people know those teams. They're not going to be like. I mean, they may not be like have a poster in their house, but like if you hear them, like, oh yeah, I remember them. The XY Z tournament year, and it. But exactly, like you lose to these guys local, you got to hear about it. You get, you're supposed to be the big brand in the city. And as a sports fan, you want the name across your school's chest to represent the city it is in. That's local rivalries, through and through. It was so funny. I mean, we took the loss to Xavier, the other week. And someone said, Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we lost, another year crosstown shootout, but like Xavier still is not the big brand, and it's kind of true. They're number one on the courts right now, but number two in the city, maybe number three or number four, like as far as like actual brand recognition for the city. So I mean, a little bit of some of that's cope and being able to disassociate because you still go to UC, so you can be happy about it. But
that's true, and
yeah.
as a person who teaches high school kids, and like you bring up, like I think I've tweeted this out before. Like I think last year, like before the crosstown shootout, like a very like deeply invested kid that's in sports.
Yeah,
it says something along the lines like, "I forget Xavier's in Cincinnati."
Yeah,
that's that sucks to be you, like in the same city, and people forget that you're here. Like you're right. Like they're not the brand recognized. They don't have the brand recognition at all.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's a little bit of cope, but it's kind of true at the same time. But yeah, same to losing to Dayton. Like you don't want to lose. You want to reign supreme over your area, regardless. You don't want to, like, the NKU loss like last year stung so much because one, you don't want to lose to a team that you presume you have more talent than, but also the fact that they felt strong enough that they beat you, that they stormed the court. You're like, dang.
Yeah.
Ugh. So like, yeah, you and part of it's like you want to believe that your program has made the strides that you feel they've made, and that you carry the persona that you think you have for your university.
Did you see John Brannon's tweet?
That guy's a clown.
What?
He's a clown.
Why? Like, why?
Well, I get that I get like when you feel strongly. I get why he would be upset at this university, obviously.
I get that,
but also understand why people don't like you as far as like that goes. Like the allegations go, you abused your players and you pretty much destroyed a historic program.
Yeah. Like, Coomer or Hummer, whoever was running Cincy Slangin on Twitter last night, invited him to the Twitter Spaces. I doubt that he joined, but it would have been hilarious if he did. Well,
also then the fact you have the need to talk that much stuff too as a coach.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that like obviously coaches and players are still human, but there's a certain standard that goes with being in that position, that you have to be a little bit better than the people that support you. And hey, maybe if you ask the guy, he would say, "I'm not better than that," and that's just who he is.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a twisting the knife moment. It was just really just like like you're piping up right now.
Like I don't think you contributed to this win at all, sir.
He's not even that Dayton anymore, is he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So there's that. And it's also the reality that your team probably would have gotten blown out even more by this team.
Oh yeah.
Like you have no friends here. That's just
yeah. There's and if you do, I don't want to talk to them. That's
yeah.
All
right.
A weird one. But
moving on to our better halves.
Before we go there, hold on. I want to ask you one question because you brought up the hot takes. People are mad. We're still kind of along that line. I did a little bit of research here. I've been busy this morning, Darin. I did a little bit of research here. Okay, in 3 years, let me read you off some Wes Miller non-conference wins. Georgia, Illinois with Kofi Coburn in the lineup, first game back.
Yeah.
A terrible Louisville team. A Georgia Tech team this year that has since gotten hot. And that's it. The best win there, I think, obviously being Illinois, year one. And 1, 2, out of the 4, that's the best one. The losses, non-conference, in that same time span, 3 times to Xavier. Ohio State, Arizona, Arkansas, Northern Kentucky, Monmouth, and now Dayton. Wes Miller coached Bearcats teams are 4-19 against teams in the top 75. I think that's Ken Palm.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal. That's not bringing us back to Sweet 16 Final Four runs. That is you got to give him time to recuperate from the Brandon era. Okay. The Illinois win was a great first year marquee win for the program, but we haven't had one since then. And that's not even bringing up the conference play against the likes of Houston and Memphis. But those non-conference wins have not racked up, and some of the ugly losses have. People are going to be mad at Wes Miller. People are mad at Wes Miller. People are starting now to question Wes Miller. This is his team full of his guys trying to play the brand of basketball that he does. What do we think about these wins and losses? Is it time to? Where are we? Are we questioning this? Are we? We need him to work. We need him to be the next guy that's here for 20 plus years.
Mm.
I really don't. I really don't know. He can recruit his ass off. Is he going to be the guy that can recruit but can't coach? And is that how he makes his? Is that how he gets paid here? That he can recruit, bring guys in, but when it comes to X's and O's on the floor, we can't expect to beat anybody that's of marquee note. I don't know. It's a sobering thought and conversation that I think if things don't go well in Big 12 play, will become more prevalent within the fan base.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people are always gonna, when you take losses to teams you don't want to, specifically, or two rivals in a year, not that far apart, you're definitely gonna keep your eye out. I think at this point people are keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, a lot of basketball left to be played this year. New conference. The Big 12 is the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to play better against those teams, especially when teams got, 2 or 3 NBA guys who can just destroy you, even if one of the other guys is having an off night. That being said, I mean, looking back at that 22-23 season, that NKU to Ohio State run was that was a tough stretch. Minus NKU, I think we were just asleep at the wheel on that one, and really it shouldn't have been the way it was on that. I mean, NKU was a solid team that year still, but I mean, we lost some tough games that year.
Yeah.
Memphis, Houston. I mean, Houston is Houston at this point. They are now a brand. Temple was well built. We just weren't quite there yet. You could see the West Ball sort of taking shape and some guys stepping up. But, last year, you're hoping, and obviously you're hoping with the guys we recruited that it would all start to take shape. You start off 6-0, actually no, 7-0, and going into a rivalry game, and then same old story.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that's frustration. Obviously, he's 0-3 now, but I wwonder how much of that's just frustration over the last decade in general across all coaching tenures. Really, actually, the last 2 decades, really. I mean, because even Mick struggled against them. He won, but he struggled against them.
Certainly not enough. I just think if things go like the fans want it to go, I don't think fans are expecting to win the Big 12. I think they want to be competitive. We want to make some noise, maybe catch a team on the right night and make noise that way. And definitely got to win as many home games as you can. But if things go really bad in the Big 12, I don't know if at the end of the season here, people are going to be. I think that seat's going to get a little warmer.
Yeah,
whether
it'll be a hot seat basically going into season 4 at that point.
Yeah.
He'll have another year at that point, but the hope, obviously, going into the Big 12 this year was that you can finish like. The hope was that you win your non-conference schedule all the way through, right? Because it was certainly trending that way. Pad your season out that way, and then finish like 5th or 6th or 7th in the Big 12, and try to squeak your way in. As long as you look competitive and win a game or two that you shouldn't in that conference. But now we're opening up against a ranked team in Big 12 play who is surprisingly
better.
Yeah. I mean, the only game they lost was a rivalry game against Utah, but
yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the season, you look at that first at BYU first game in the Big 12, you're like, that's a win, and then now it is not.
Yeah,
not an automatic win at all. It's going to be very interesting, and we'll see January 6th. We'll see what happens there. 3 more bye games left. Got to make sure you win all of those, and some things start to click, and you can sort of make adjustments and be ready for that, because that's going to be a tough test right out of the gate.
Yeah, we got Merrimack College coming up in 2 days. The true Little Sisters of the Poor kind of name there that you usually insert Merrimack. They do exist as a real college. But yeah, you can't even say, oh, it's a get right game, because you're hoping Bryant was a get right game, and then you didn't get right after that. So
we talked at halftime for our first live stream, and that first half was brutal. So you're right. You gotta get right, and get right quick.
Yeah, and not like closed out down the stretch, and make that score look bigger than it is. So yeah, I mean, you want to dominate. You want to find a new offense that works. Obviously, not every team's going to test you the same way you've been tested in each loss, but you're hoping that, like I said, you're hoping Wes can arm himself with a few different formations and personnel, and find out some things that work. That way, he can plug and play a little bit easier and adjust, respond a little quicker to some of those deeper challenges.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk. Hold on.
The sisterhood.
Let's move on to the sisterhood. You were a little ahead of me there, but let's talk about the sisterhood. Bearcats 6-3 right now. Came off that dominant performance against Xavier. Talked a little bit about that. Not everyone got. If you're a Spotify listener, if you're only or Apple Music or whatever the hell it is, if you don't listen on YouTube, you didn't hear me talk a little bit about that game where the Bearcats absolutely dominated from start to finish against Xavier. Great time, ton of people there for the game. I think they set a record attendance for the women's crosstown shootout. And they followed that up with another dominant performance against Howard, 87-62. And Jilian Hays scored her 1,000th point. So that's always love to see that. The Bearcats, Darin, have won 4 in a row and got a couple games before number 12, Kansas State, comes in on December 30th. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see what sort of noise they can make as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great to have Hayes become 1,000 point scorer. I mean, also just looking at that game last year, we lose that game 48-35 against Xavier last year. Who else but Hayes is the leading scorer, 18 points, and I think she had a double on that one last year. But she's got some help this year. We got Maya Jackson coming in hot, great addition, great transfer this year. This coaching tenure is off to a great start. The girls seem like they've bought into the culture. She's got them playing an exciting brand of basketball. Obviously, when you're playing some of the top schools in the NCAA women's, there's just sometimes going to be that disparity. But they're even hanging with some of those tougher teams. NC State didn't show up too well, or we didn't show up too well against NC State, but against Louisville and Colorado, we put a decent showing against some teams like that. with a new roster, with a new coaching tenure. And so I'm liking where this is going. Great, like I said, great turnout for the crosstown game for the women. They followed it up with an 87 to 62 point win over Howard. I think that's their season high so far at 87 points. Hays was 20 on that as well. She cannot be stopped, will not be denied. And it's just great to see. I will say, and this is kind of crossing over into a different sport, but I think that CFP appearance years ago, combined with the move to the Big 12, has done wonders for support for other programs. People want to be involved. People want to see what else is out there for our other teams and treat, and I think people are saying, well, why can't we be diehards about our school and other sports and support these student athletes? Because it's a dog eat dog world. So why don't you stay behind your own people there? I didn't certainly think I was gonna get baseball tickets, season tickets. So I mean, so it's great seeing that pay dividends and people show up for that. I just hope it continues to grow, and especially if this sisterhood keeps getting better and better and keeps trending in the right direction. I'm hoping to see a sellout game or two in the future at some point.
Definitely, yeah. I would like to make it to another game. That Kansas State game, I'm on winter break. Maybe might be able to make it to that one. We'll see. It was a good time. It was fun. So yeah, definitely get out there, check them out. Definitely good times. Darin, last thing I think we need to talk about is a little bit of football news, a little bit of transfer portal signee news. I'll let you sort of drive that conversation and lead us. What do we need to know so far here in the early or late weeks of December here?
Yeah, things are coming together. Obviously, we got our quarterback, hopefully in the future. But in more recent news, we got a new long snapper, Jaden Perry, coming from Indiana State. Pfeiffer ran home to Coach Fick at Wisconsin. Guy got a little bit of hype and probably wanted to go be with his coach. I understand. Keith Stokes signed also the other day, safety from OSU. And then we followed up with an edge rusher in George Gums. Dante seemed very excited about him joining their room there. It looks like it's starting to come together for us. We're getting some of our top targets and getting the people we want at that point. I know we've had to let some guys go, or they've gone on to other programs for some other targets because the asking price was just too high, or wasn't quite the right fit. But things are coming together, and not just that. These guys have a good amount of eligibility. Oh, also Evan Pryor also comes in as well at running back. Also 3 years of eligibility. And then we also got another edge in Micah Coleman as well. Like a week ago.
What do you know about Pryor? Is he someone that's going to complement Corey Kiner? Is he someone that's going to like a same style of back that's going to compete against him, or are they more? I'm hoping that it's more complimentary. What do you know?
Yeah, I think they're looking for him to be more of a complimentary back, and then being able to step into that role when Kiner graduates. So a little bit of compliment, and then also continuation as well. I mean, he's got some decent size to him, 5'11", 198. He's not necessarily quite the bowling ball, so he's got some size and speed. But I think he's there to be the more of the home run hitter at that point. He was a high four star when he came out of high school. He was at 95, I want to say, and he was the number 7 or 8 running back out of North Carolina, out of the state, I think. 101 nationally, so he was just outside the top 100. Didn't quite work out for him as at Ohio State. So 88 is a transfer, 163 overall, number 14 running back coming out of the transfer portal. Had some okay burst in what we've seen, the limited time we've seen from at Ohio State. But I think he's definitely here to compliment first and then step into the role later if he pans out.
Very nice. Very nice. So is that 2 or 3 guys from Ohio State?
I want to say 2.
Pryor, Gums.
Yeah, it's 2.
Was the safety from?
Well, no, Gums is from NIU.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's the Stokes is from Ohio State.
Got it.
Yeah. Brendan Sorsby, Indiana, of course. Coleman is from Eastern Michigan. So 2 guys from we had eyes on a few guys from OSU. I think there was a cornerback some people were high on, but then at least as far as fan talk goes, even Ohio State wasn't too high on him at all. I think he was passed up by a walk-on, and I think some of the UC fans are sharing that sentiment. I don't know how well we're targeting him at this point. I have to go look and read some of the clippings again. But yeah, no, it's coming together. I think we're also now in a dead period at this point for talking to the guys for a bit, and I'll pick back up real soon. You see it come together. Sat obviously talked a few weeks ago at the start of portal season, and had a presser, just kind of talking about who they're looking for and guys moving on. Had Dante and the rake sitting next to him. And it seems like those two definitely are kind of hitting the social media and in a little PR blitz for him. Dante the other night, I think just over a day ago, 24 hours ago, had something of, here it is. Yeah, take coaching, willingness to buy in and hold others accountable. So
all that.
Good to have some guys publicly buy in that hard. I don't think I've ever seen that before, even as long as social media has been a presence at this point. Definitely the CEO coach, which, hey, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think people just have a bad taste in their mouth with a senator as a coach. So yeah, you see the culture trying to build out here. So it's an exciting time. Guys can still commit, and we can still get some guys to come in. I think Coleman has 2 years, and then I think most of our guys have a lot of eligibility. I think Jaden Perry's the only one that doesn't have. I think he has like 1 year left. So getting some guys who can plug in and contribute right away, along with having some depth you can, or some years you can build upon, is great. Obviously, your hope is you don't build these guys up and then they get plucked away to another school after that.
Right.
Become 2-time transfers. Because we are in that NIL fund. Yeah. So our NIL era. Your thoughts?
I'm trusting you on this. We'll see. If you had to pick like a position or two right now, like what position should we be going after the hardest? Is it like my first guess would probably be wide receiver?
Yeah, I think wide receivers getting a look at this point. Probably some more wide receiver and corners. So just the same to the whole
1A, 1B.
Yeah, 2 sides of the same coin on that. So it's looking good. So far so good. Yeah, I also think it's 2 weeks of the portal being open. So like some people are like, oh, it's not enough. Bump the brakes.
Still early.
Still early. This is a great get so far. Like I said, dead period. Some guys will be able to go and sign up for classes and get here in the winter for winter or second half of winter semester. Or actually, I guess winter semester at this point, second semester. And because graduation just happened, so yeah, they should be able to come in and sign up for classes and make sure they're squared away academically. Let me ask you this: NCAA football, big fan of the game back in the day, or
I still have a 360 and play the 2014 version.
oh, same, yeah. There's no other, I
And especially in the summer, like when I'm off, I have some extra time on my hands. Like I don't know what year I am on like Dynasty mode, but I'm probably year 5 or 6 into Dynasty mode on 2014 for sure.
Gotcha. Have you picked up the modified version of it? You can, yeah. Mm-mm. So there's some guys who are keeping the game alive as the years have gone on that do a lot of work. College Football Revamped is the project.
Okay.
But they do things like they've updated a lot of uniforms and stadiums and well, not stadiums, so updated uniforms, updated the sound bites for the bands and player. They do a roster overhaul before every season, when camp is over and guys transfer and stuff. So it's I mean, there's some guys out there who do some crazy stuff with these games. Yeah. So they've been keeping it alive until next year. Reason I asked though, obviously, is like I'm excited to see how they handle how college football has evolved since that point. Because right when when 14 hit, they had started doing the Ultimate Team. And like had actual named athletes we could pull the cards from. Some of those guys I think got some royalties from that. I think it was kind of too little too late at that point because NCAA cut the funding. But now we're in an NIL era, transferring, social media is taking off, exponentially at this point. Like I wonder how much they'll actually, play into that.
You would
future.
think a little bit like some. We'll see. Yeah,
they'd have to, right?
You have to.
And then just how the game's evolved too. It's changed so much. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe we'll do a little stream or something like that.
Ooh, I like that. All right, very nice. Definitely keep that in our pocket for sure. See if we can't branch out a little bit there. That'd be fun. I like it.
All right.
Darin, that's all I got, sir. Good to get a full episode in here. My schedule sort of clears up here in the next couple of weeks, so we'll certainly stay on top of it. Remember, if you're still with us here, that the podcast should be moving at the beginning of the year over to one Catskeller Social Club feed. So we'll sort of try to get that out there on social media, make sure that people know where to find us if you're not a regular listener, and look out for some more projects that are in the works from not only us but Cincy Slangin and Catskeller Social Club in general. So Darin, cheers, go Bearcats.
Cheers, go Bearcats.
See you, brother.